Well, here's a crossover video I never thought I'd be making. Our last couple of crossover videos have been kind of traditional stuff. Your Pokemon AUs, your Harry Potter AUs, the usual stuff you'd see if you read a lot of fanfiction. Now don't get me wrong, I love reading about characters dropped into those settings. After all, they're typical AU settings for a reason. They just work well. But today I wanted to try something a little bit different, and you can blame a recent rewatch of Inception for this idea. Rewatching this movie actually reminded me of how much I loved Inception when it came out, and much like how I like sorting characters into Hogwarts houses, or giving characters their own Pokemon teams, I actually used to make my own Inception AU teams just for fun. So why not do that again? And since you all seem to love the Danganronpa videos, why not make a whole new Danganronpa AU? After all, you mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling. Before we start though, a quick refresher on what the roles in each Inception team is. First up is Cobb's role, the Extractor. They're usually the quick-talking leader of the group who are able to enter the subject's mind and extract information. Next up is Arthur's role, the Point Man, whose job it is to research all the different details of the mission, as well as to make sure that all the team members are safe and know their role. Next up is Ari's role, the Architect, whose job it is to create the maze that the dream will use as their foundation. Next up is Eames' role as the Forager, whose job it is to impersonate any particular person they may need within the dream. Next up is Yusuf's role as the Chemist. They create the drugs that are needed to sedate everybody going into the dream and make sure that everybody is sharing the same dream. Lastly, while this isn't a typical role on the team, I usually include one every so often, which is Saito's role as the Tourist. Basically, the Tourist is someone who's not supposed to be there, in this case, the team's employer. So for this AU, I'm going to be sticking with the original Danganronpa cast just for fun, and so without further ado, this is the team that I've come up with. For our Extractor, I am of course going with Naegi. He is clearly going to be the leader of the team. For our Point Man, I'm going to be going with Ishimaru, because you know he'd do everything within his power to keep the team safe and sticking to the plan. Our Architect is going to be Kirigiri. Now, I don't exactly think she's been taking any drafting classes while honing those detective skills, but she does seem like the most capable from the DR1 cast to fill this role. In my opinion, just going to establish that. And next up is the Forager on the team, and as much as I wish I could say Owada so that we can have the whole kind of Arthur Eames ship going on between Owada and Ishimaru, I'm gonna have to give it to Celestia because I think she's the best suited for this role. She can already read people like a book in the canon anyway, which would help her impersonate people within the dreams. Our Chemist is gonna be none other than Chihiro, who would be constantly researching and perfecting the drugs needed to make them even better and better. And last up is our Tourist, the one who hires the team in the first place, and of course that's gonna be Togami. Now, an important thing to remember here, I haven't written fanfiction in years. I will basically just be going about my day and then have the idea for an AU, build up the basics, and then do nothing with it. Entire stories that are built up in my mind that never see the light of day. Just little alternate universes just for me. So these videos are actually kind of a good outlet for me. I can kind of throw out the basic bare bones of the idea and let the internet take the idea and maybe run with it. So that said, I haven't really thought too far into the story for this AU. I just kind of built up the bare bones of the idea in my head. So if this next part sounds awful, just know that this is basically a rough draft of an idea that's never gonna materialize. Anyway, here's my basic idea of where I would take this story. It's the year 20XX, and the Togami Corporation is facing a bit of a crisis. Byakuya has caught wind of a coup that the board is planning to place one of Byakuya's siblings in charge so that they can control where the organization is going. While at first panicked, Togami does manage to calm himself down and asks his secretary and older sister, Shinobu Togami, to assemble a team of extractors for a very special mission. The two eventually manage to track down a former extractor by the name of Makoto Naegi, and while he initially refuses, Byakuya manages to talk him down enough to the point where he eventually signs on. With Naegi in tow, they quickly assemble the rest of the team, the best of the best, all of whom have worked together in the past before, but haven't really seen each other in a long time. Togami explains the job to them, with Ishimaru quickly getting to work trying to assemble the plan with Naegi. We have Celestia trying to get as much intel on the Togami family as possible in order to properly impersonate them. We have Kirigiri trying to draft the dream as she sees fit, and of course we have Chihiro trying to craft the perfect drug to keep them sedated for the exact amount of time. The team manages to trick Byakuya's sibling into joining them for a family meeting, where they're seated at the table with Togami, his sister, and of course the team, who are masquerading as Togami's former classmates. They're not actually classmates in this AU, by the way, I'm just trying to nod to the original story. Little does Togami's sibling know that Chihiro has actually crafted the drug so that it will dissolve in the champagne that they're drinking, and before they know it, they're out cold. The team then quickly gets gets to work with Tagami explaining that his brother has really had no real expertise in combating extractors, so this should be a real get in, get out kind of mission. By the way, I'm not saying that it's easy to perform in Inception, I'm just, for the sake, Tagami's a smartass, so of course he would think it's gonna be easy. The mission begins and things seem to be going pretty well. Everything's going off without a hitch, until they're attacked by a blonde woman. The young woman seems to be controlling the younger Tagami's mind, with all of the younger Tagami's consciousness wearing Monokuma masks. Because of course they are. While the team panics, Kirigiri quickly pulls Naegi aside and asks him why he initially declined the job offer and where his former partner has really disappeared to. Yes, as it turns out, Naegi had a former partner named Ryoko, and on a mission that went bad, the two got stuck in limbo, much like Cobb and Mal from the movie. However, while stuck in limbo, Ryoko developed a split personality, one that reveled in being stuck in a never-ending nightmarescape. This split personality is, of course, Junko Enoshima. While Naegi eventually managed to escape from limbo, Ryoko chose to stay behind, and so she never woke up, leaving her body in a comatose state back in the real world. The woman attacking the team now is just a shade of Naegi's former partner, one that's hell-bent on dragging the team down to limbo to revel in despair for all eternity. And that's all I got. Although I gotta admit, it was kind of fun planning out the basic of the story. I don't usually do that, so that was a little bit of fun. But that's gonna do it for me today, guys, so if you have any ideas for another Inception or Danganronpa AU, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear some of your ideas, and if they're really great, then I would love to make a video on them, maybe. If you enjoyed today's video, then by all means, liking the video, sharing the video, those are always nice things to do. If you would like to join our Skelly army, then by all means go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and hey, hitting the bell notification icon, that's always a good idea too. Until our next meeting, everybody, always remember, don't scary. This was a weird one.